Hello, welcome in. I've been trying to record this video for about an hour, and we're on take 5 of this new intro. So today we're going over the Arbatel of Magic. I was originally going to go through every single section, every single paragraph of the book to just kind of give you a good idea of the book itself. However, in actuality, most of this book is incredibly boring, doesn't actually apply to genuine hard occultism, and is mostly a good Christian boy's perspective on how you should live your life. So I'm going to go through as a good Christian occultist, and I'm going to give you a link in the description to read the actual book, but I'm going to go through, and if I find an aphorism to be interesting, I'm going to let you know. So let's start from the beginning. The beginning of the book is a prologue of the 9 different types of magic according to the Arbatel. It basically says that there are 9 tomes of the Arbatel. To my knowledge, this is actually a lie, as we don't have the other 8, but we do have the first one, which was basically the Arbatel of Magic. It proceeds to say that the first one is the baseline of all magic, the second is microcosmic magic, which is basically your higher spirit or genius, the third is Olympic magic, which seems to go over the Olympic gods, the fourth is Homeric magic, which teaches of spirits that are beneficial to mankind. The fifth is sublime magic, which is tutelary spirits and also druidic magic for some reason. Pythagorean magic is next, which is solely spirits that teach you math, science, art, and basically anything that can be used in a scientific pursuit. The seventh is Apollonian magic, which is similar to the sublime magic and the microcosmic magic, but it deals with harmful spirits. In modern days, we would usually call these demons, or this would be called Goetia, or some kind of variant of it. Eighth is Hermetic magic, which is similar to divine magic, though it apparently produces gods that dwell in all kinds of temples. So this is said to be like a borderline divine form of magic. The ninth is the magic of the Word of God, which is called prophetic magic. In actuality, this is only covering the first section, which is the fundamentals of all magic. It should be noted that 49 is a very important number in occultism, because it is 7 squared, so 7 times 7 equals 49. That's probably why we have that there, and that's why we have 49 aphorisms. The book is broken up into 7 septenaries, and they all contain different amounts of aphorisms. The first septenary begins by saying you cannot learn the secrets of God if you cannot yourself keep a secret. That's an important thing to know. It is also a very important thing. It is so important that I believe it is one of the powers of the Sphinx, which, in case you are not familiar, the powers of the Sphinx are that classic occult phrase of to know, to will, to dare, and to be silent. It teaches you that you should be keeping secrets because thou shalt not cast pearls before swine. Paraphrasing the first septenary in its entirety, learn how to keep secrets, live for yourself and what God calls you to do, avoid procrastination and be serious, do not be kind of a foolish person, live with God in your heart, God shall look down upon you, and you shall not want anything, for God shall give it to you. Learn as much as you can and frequently repeat what you have learned. And in your time of need, call upon God, and God shall assist you. And when you are finished, give the glory of what you have done unto God. Unto thine name be the glory. And Psalm 113 is directly quoted. The first septenary is not the worst thing in the world, but it's not what you're going in for in modern day. It is really just, here's how you should be living. Here's how you should be kind of purifying yourself in a very Christian-style way. However, it's not actually useful to modern occultists for the most part. You're not going into this learning how, you're not going into this book in modern day, in current year, looking at it and trying to be like, how can I live as Christianly as possible from this book that is normally only read by people who are into either extremely bizarre and obscure religious study or straight up occultism. You're not going to be doing that. The second septenary still has its problems at the second half, but it's a lot closer to what you would want in an occult grimoire book. Important things to note from the second septenary. In Aphorism 8, all authority and all power is descended from God, not due to mathematical perfection or anything. It's because God gave everything its powers, basically, including the demons. It outright says, for there is no power either in heaven or in earth or hell which doth not descend from God and without his permission. So yes, even the demons are allowed to exist. The Ninth Aphorism is basically broken up into two main parts, even though there's no separation between the two of them. The first part is a very bizarre hierarchy of where you should listen to first. The first one is, of course, God, because this is a Christian text. The next is from spiritual creatures. After that is corporeal creatures. Fourth is creatures in nature and natural things. Then after that are what I assume are non-clean, not demons. And then after that is the ministers of punishments in hell and the obedient unto God. Which I believe means that, like, the demons that are actually obedient to God. And then after that is the elementals. It uses a different word, but it's basically describing elementals. Aphorism 11 and 12 are basically saying that you need to learn which spirits are subordinate to you and which spirits you can trust to be obedient to you from God, and you should only accept knowledge of God from God himself because knowledge of God has been corrupted by man and evil spirits. This is kind of interesting considering that this is a Christian text and that the Bible has been rewritten several times by different authors. This is just kind of an interesting note and an observation. The text doesn't actually say that. I highly recommend that you go to the description and just read Aphorism 13, because I can't really do it justice by summarizing it. However, the last section seems to indicate that God will send you a spirit to assist you in what you need assistance in. It directly references Raphael with the Book of Tobit, Gabriel, the messenger of God, being sent to Daniel, Mary, and the father of John the Baptist, and Michael being sent to govern the people of God. Aphorism 14 is another one of those you should live very Christianly and very piously. However, it does give a very nice prayer for desiring perfection of the arts of this life, and such as are necessary for us. I'm not going to read the entire thing. However, link is in the description for the Esoteric Archive version. The Second Septenary is basically reminding you constantly that God gave you the authority to do anything, and that you should keep this in mind in everything you do. This is useful if you have a kind of a Christian bias to your practice. This should kind of demonstrate that God is in all of your practice, and therefore you should keep that in mind. That being said, now we have the Third Septenary, which actually gets us into the Olympic Planetaries proper, starting at Aphorism 15. It starts by giving a short list of the things that the Olympic Planetaries can do, that they can clear destinies, administer fatal charms, and then it proceeds to talk about how the Olympic spirits can only do this if God allows them to do them, and if you have refuge in God, they cannot do anything harmful or evil to you. Aphorism 16 gives us the 7 different names of the Olympic Planetaries. Those are Aratron, Bethor, Phaleg, Och, Hagith, Ophiel, and Phul, in that order. That order is Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. In that order, because the 7 planetaries are correspondent to the 7 different Olympic planetary spirits. It then proceeds to explain the ordering of ages. It is said that the Olympic planetaries have 196 different Olympic provinces in the whole universe, wherein the 7 governors exercise their power. It then proceeds to detail how Aratron is the lord of Saturday and Saturn in the first hour of Saturday, and proceeds to give a different age aeonic system where every 490 years different Olympic planetaries rule. Currently, based on the ordering, we are in the age of Ophiel, who is the Olympic planetary of Mercury, which, given we have the fastest communication methods we've ever had in the entirety of human history, I tend to agree. Aphorism 17 is where it gets into the offices and the powers of the Olympic Planetaries. It's kind of insinuated that these are not all of the powers that these spirits have, but these are just the powers that the author wanted to write down so that you would know. I should note here that there is no rhyme or reason for these weird powers. Aratron is said to be able to convert anything into stone in a moment. He converteth treasures into coals, and coals into treasures. He giveth familiars with a definitive power. He teaches alchemy, magic, and physics. He reconciled the subterranean spirits to man, maketh hairy men, causeth one to be invisible, and he makes the barren be fruitful, and giveth long life. He also rules over the Saturnian things, but in terms of these are clearly defined Saturnian powers, what I have just said is literally the list of the 7 powers he is given in the Arbatel. I don't know why those are his powers, but those seem to be his powers, according to the book. The second spirit it lists is Bethor, who governs all Jupiterian works. He seems to do a lot of things you would think of as classically Jupiterian, like he rises you to great prestige, he opens treasures, he reconciles spirits of the air, which, depending on which version of occult books you're reading, Jupiter is a planet of air, so that they give true answers. They also somehow transport stones from place to place, like gemstones, and make medicine work miraculously well. Jupiter is one of the traditionally thought of 3 planets when it comes to healing, along with Mercury and the Sun, so all of these powers make sense. Next up is Phaleg. Phaleg has the shortest entry in the entirety of the Spirit Catalog. Phaleg rules over that which is attributed to Mars, the Prince of Peace. He hath this character, and he raiseth to great honors in warlike affairs. That is quite literally the entire entry for Phaleg. It is a very common thing that the ancients were more afraid of Mars than they were of Saturn. On occasion. It depends on what's going on. But in this case, Mars is definitely seen as so self-explanatory in terms of what he rules, you don't need to give any other powers for Phaleg. Next up is Och. Och governs solar things, gives 600 years with perfect health. This is actually untrue in most cases, because God has already declared that that's not going to happen anymore. He bestows great wisdom, giveth excellent spirits, teacheth perfect medicine, and converteth all things into most pure gold and precious stones. He giveth gold, and a purse springing with gold. He is dignified with this character. It should be noted that by this logic, Och is the actual Olympic planetary you want to go to for money. Because when it says that he gives gold, gold is the currency of money. So money and gold are interlinked, so therefore you would want to go to Och if you want money, not Bethor, unless you're trying to expand the money you already have. Next up is Hagith. Hagith makes you very beautiful and to be adorned because of your beauty. They convert copper into gold in a moment, and gold into copper. They give spirits which faithfully do serve those whom they are given to. Next up is Ophiel. Ophiel governs all things mercurial. They give familiar spirits easily. They teach all arts. And his sigil seems to give the ability to convert Quicksilver into the Philosopher's Stone. Again, pretty self-explanatory. This one is Mercury. Mercury would teach the arts. Now keep in mind that arts also govern the sciences, because in ancient times there wasn't so much a distinction of art and science as there is today. If you look up the Muses, you will find that they actually govern a lot of sciences as well as the arts. And the final Olympic planetary spirit is Fool. Fool governs lunary things, changes all metals into silver in word and deed, healeth the dropsy, and giveth spirits of water, who do serve man in a corporeal and visible form, and maketh men to live 300 years. That last part is once again contramanded by the Bible, which says that that is not going to happen, most likely. There's then a list of kind of concepts that happen with every single one of these spirits. The first one is every Olympic planetary works with their spirits naturally according to their free will, unless God hinders them. The second principle basically says that the spirits can do things that are natural over a long period of time. Magically, they can do those things instantly, and through a application of science, they can do them in a shorter period of time in between the two. It then gives the example of Och, who prepares gold in mountains over a long period of time, chemically manifests gold in a short period of time, and magically can do it in an instant. The third principle is that all true magicians can use all of the spirits that the Olympic spirits have at their disposal. Mean magicians only listen to determine what the business is, and false magicians, they don't do that at all and expose them to demons and cast them into far greater dangers, seemingly saying that they are accosted by demons if they try. Fourth precept is that the Olympic plants are in all of the elements, and they move in equal motion on the firmament, and the inferiors do always depend on the superiors as taught in philosophy. This can be found more in Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy. Fifth is that a man who is a true magician is born a true magician. This is referencing John the Baptist and what John the Baptist said of no man can do anything for himself except it be given him from above. Once again, referencing the you cannot do anything unless God permits you to, which we have referenced multiple times in this text. Sixth is that every sigil given by a spirit for whatever reason is effective in the business it is given to for a predetermined time, but the hour and day on which the planet is giving this to you must be the same when you use it. So in this case, if you were to get a sigil from the planetary Och for money, you would need to use this on the same planetary day and hour that you got it. So if you got in the planetary day and hour of the sun, you would need to do it on another Sunday in the hour of the sun to use that character, or sigil, as we would more likely call it. The seventh is to keep thy covenant with God, and thou shalt have whatever the Spirit shall reveal unto thee, because all things shall be done which the Spirit promiseth unto thee, because they don't lie if you have God in your heart. 18 is that the Olympic planetaries do have different names, but you should get the name that is functional for them. You should get the name that is actually functional for them, and that these change every 140 years. Aphorism 19 basically says that the Olympic planetary spirits will work with you naturally, but they occasionally appear as evil spirits due to the devil. And I'm going to quote this here. Let him keep himself from enormous sins and pray diligently to the Most High to be his keeper. If you're going to sin and you want to work with these spirits, the book quite literally says don't sin that much. Aphorism 20 basically says that only things that you believe are possible are actually possible. Aphorism 21 is an instruction on how to call the spirits themselves. They say wake up at dawn and say a prayer. It says to not keep the spirit for more than an hour unless he is a familiar spirit of yours, and it gives a license to depart and a dismissal of the spirit prayer that you should give after that. The Fourth Septenary is actually kind of interesting because it basically now gives a list of secrets, which you should probably be asking spirits about, to be honest. It literally says one of the lesser secrets is how to make money, because that is a lesser secret that is not as important as modern society would make it appear to be. Anyways, it then proceeds to give you the courtesy of teaching you how to get God to teach you these secrets and the answers to these secrets, which is, you know, I'm going to let you read that in the text. But needless to say that it is effectively 7 Bible quotes, all in a row. Aphorism 26 then proceeds to basically explain that all of the greats, so Homer, Hesiod, Orpheus, Plato, Aristotle, Hippocrates, Euclid, Archimedes, Hermes Trismegistus, all were in contact with their natal angel, or at least their angel. So it's basically saying that most of the old school magicians in history either were in contact with their genius or they had straight up contacted their angel. And they knew their benevolent angel, that is, all of the positive traits of yourself that God has prepared for you. Aphorism 27 is about the construction of a seal of secrets, basically. This is for getting spirits to reveal themselves and teach you things. I'm just going to let you guys read that, because this could be an entire video in and of itself, I feel. I'm not going to make it, but it could be. The final section of this septenary is Aphorism 28, which is another reminder that you should be praying, as all good things come from God, and the answers to these secrets would be good, and you should be praying humbly and devoutly. The Fourth Septenary is very interesting in that it's a very interesting concept. It gives you a couple of questions that you should be asking spirits for the answer to, which is very useful and very helpful, because not all the time do we know what we should be asking spirits. So it's pretty interesting. I quite enjoy the Seal of Secrets concept, because this is supposed to help you learn where the spirits are coming from, and it is supposed to assist you with the spirits. The Fifth Septenary is actually very different. It is a commentary of sorts on how Rome rose to power by using magic. It's very interesting. I'm going to leave it to the viewer to go and read that. It is the Fifth Septenary. It's very interesting. However, it's not giving you any practical, knowledgeable advice, though it is very interesting to read as a commentary, because it's basically saying that the Romans learned from earlier sources, applied the earlier sources, and then they became the rulers until they were kind of devoured by the roaring lion of those earthly desires, which is very interesting as a commentary, and it does fit in fairly well. But we're not here to cover that. The Sixth Septenary begins with what can best be described as keep your experiments secret and basically follow the, make sure you have well-documented methods for what you're doing and pronounce all the words and do all of the things to yield obedience. It's basically telling you basic ritual procedures and basic ritual cleanliness. You don't want to mix two things together unless that is what you are trying to do. Aphorism 37 basically describes, in less detail than Agrippa, the concept of virtues for different things, like different stones, different animals all have their different virtues, and some of them are more prone to wickedness, sin, idolatry, that kind of thing. Aphorism 38 begins that there is divisions between magic and magical procedures. There's magic that can be done in the day, or magic of day creatures, and there's magic of night. There is magic that brings physical results and invisible results, and acts visibly and invisibly. Third is that there are things that are done just by calling upon God, and there are things that are done by calling on spirits. Fourth is that some magic is done by good spirits, some magic is done by evil spirits. Fifth is that some spirits act openly and will act in everyday life, and some will only work in dreams and omens, that kind of thing. Which, that kind of makes sense, that some spirits would like to be covert. Sixth is that some magic is worked by immortal things, some magic is worked by mortal things, such as elementals and other inhabitants of the elementals. And sixth is some spirits will come when you are calling them and work with you just without any problems. Some are more coy and don't want to call they don't want to show up when you call them. It's like some random guy's calling you on the phone, you don't want to work with them, that kind of thing. And then it gives a hierarchy of the different types of magic. The most excellent, of course, is magic done and depending on God alone. Second is magic of spirits who faithfully serve of their own accord. Third is magic of Christians, which depends on the power of Jesus Christ in heaven for that to function. The next aphorism is all about you need to have preparations in order to learn magic. The preparations are: 1. You should meditate and know God. 2. You should know yourself. 3. Learn about the immortal part of your soul. and worship and love and fear the immortal God. It then mentions that these are the most important and you should keep these above all the other ones. 4, because there are different species of magic, as this book calls it, the different types of magic we just went over, that you will be drawn to a specific type of magic they're in. Some people are more drawn to divination, some people are more drawn to evocation. In modern day, that's the kinds of magic we would be talking about, and this is what this is saying. The 6th is to have faith and keep secrets, which Spirit has forbid you to speak. That's pretty much it. And 7th is that a magician should be moral. Next aphorism is that there are 7 laws that you should follow for good, constructive magical operations. The first law is that spirits are sent to you by God, and because they are sent to you by God, you should, once again, keep God and keep the rule prescribed in the Bible. Second, always pray for God's favor, and then it gives a prayer. Thirdly, try out the spirits that you are trying to work with, because you want good spirits to be giving you good things, and you don't want to be trying to work with a bad spirit to get good things. The 4th is to not be superstitious and attribute divinity to things where there is no divinity. In fact, make sure that you're worshiping God in the ways that you're supposed to be worshiping God, because not doing so is the domain of Satan. 5th is don't use idols and don't worship idols because they trap divine power within them, but they are actually not helpful. Which is actually interesting because that is some servitor methods. The 6th is to keep in mind the omnipotence of God and to not accept any deceitful imitations or substitutes. And the last one is to hold fast to the gifts of God and the Holy Spirit so that you may know them and embrace them and develop your strength with God and the Holy Spirit. 49 begins by saying we're on the final 9 aphorisms, and it asks God to assist them in finishing this introduction. It explains that a magician is somebody who uses the knowledge and grace of God to manifest benevolent things and understand the secrets of nature, and an evil magician is given divine protection, well, not divine protection, but divine permission to command the evil spirits and do evil things with them. And the final aphorism of the Sixth Septenary says that some people are predetermined to, they are predisposed and predestined to do magical operations, and that some people are just predetermined to not get to the highest stages of magic and to be cast out and destroyed as false magicians. This one's kind of a mixed bag. The Sixth Septenary is kind of weird. I'm not entirely sure why it's the 6th and not way earlier. It kind of feels like everything before that is like wrongly placed in a way. Kind of feels like this should really be in front of those because this is more like morals and stuff and like laws and secrets and all that stuff, which you should be learning. But I digress. The 7th Septenary I'm just going to cover in an incredibly broad stroke here. The 7th Septenary is the final 6 aphorisms, and they are basically all just saying, with the exception of aphorism 49, which is saying we are concluded, they are all warnings for the magician of what you should be wary of when you are practicing magic. I highly recommend you read them. I'm not going to cover them here. Link will be in the description, as I've mentioned before. However, this concludes the Arbatel. I know we didn't really talk much about the evocation side, but truth be told, there's not much to talk about. It doesn't really go into detail. It's a very simple process, and really it's all just prayer. You are just doing a prayer at dawn for the Olympic Planetaries, and it's kind of funny. Most of this book is not the Olympic Planetaries. Most of this book is things you should be asking for spirits, generalized how you should live your magical lifestyle, really. So, I apologize if you got excited about that, but there's not much evocation to go over. That being said, I have been Dave. I am the Amateur Magus. I know that I have been gone for a while. I hope you enjoy my hiatuses as much as I do. I should be posting a few more videos, because this one was a... I meant to do this a while ago, but things happened, and I got busy / forgot / remembered. Now I'm here. Let me know what you think of the new thumbnail, by the way. Let me know what you think of the thumbnail. And if you have any suggestions in the comment section down below, leave me some suggestions. I don't have any ideas for some of these videos. This was a long video. This basically took me an entire day to record because I had to go through the book so many times. So, yeah. So, I've been Dave, and I'm the Amateur Magus, and hope you have a good rest of your day. Whenever you're watching this. If you're watching this at midnight, I hope you have a good rest of your next day. Have a good one.